What's going on, friends? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. This is going to be the first of, I think, 4 or 5 today, catching up after emergency trip home. And here we have Matthew Binion. I believe it's Greenville University, former football player, throwing the hammer. So, yeah, before we get into the video, I just want to let you guys know if you want a video analysis of your throw just like this, if you want to level up your technique, learn some things on your way to crushing some PRs this year, like Matthew's about to do, then go to my website, www.gripandrip.co, and go sign up for some online coaching. There's programming and technical analysis and just anything you could want. So go check it out. I suggest if you guys really, like I said, want to level up your technique, want to set some PRs, technique's usually the best way to do it. So let your brother help you out. All right, so let's get into the video. Let's take a look at Matthew's throw. I already took a few glimpses at it.
There it is.
Not too shabby. I like the smoothness of the winds. There's really not a ton of,
That was a good one.
you know, I guess it just looks pretty smooth to me in terms of the orbit,
There it is.
the winds especially. So let's break it down frame by frame and see what we can find. So 2 winds, 3 turns, starting square at the back of the ring, loading the right, opening up pretty well, shifting back to the right as the ball's on the left. Nice long arms here. I think you could get a little bit more rhythm in your wind, so keep that first wind slow and then really, not really try to accelerate, but try to accelerate a little bit more into the second wind, and then from the second wind into the entry, just a little bit more energy might help. The rhythm might help you find some tension and connection. With it being smooth, like I said, it's a good thing. I see some people wind the hammer and it looks really tight and awkward, but this looks pretty solid. It does seem to be a little bit left to right. I think that's kind of the same thing in your throw, where you see the hands kind of coming not too far left, but you're opening up and facing the right well. I do think you do a good job of that. I just think you could do a little bit better job of, in this very first one, keeping the hands wide out to the right, bringing the hands forwards, not necessarily from your right side to your left side, but from, think kind of more front to back. So this very first one, as you see, bring it back, and then you see your first move is to bring the hands across the body. All right. So if you bring those hands forward, it'll help set up connection a little bit earlier and keep you a little bit more right-sided in the winds. Also help set up orbit and connection a little bit better in the entry. So swing the ball forwards instead of right to left. And then as you go through the second wind, like I said, your hips look under you. You're a little tight, not tight, stiff in the legs, straight legs. You could have your legs bent a little bit more. I don't think it's a huge deal. They are bent. Just I think maybe a little bit deeper in the legs might help perhaps. And then as you go through second wind, now you start to see your hands out away from the body a little bit more. Wider orbit, pretty solid, opening up, facing that right side pretty well. And then as you go through entry, you can see this long left arm, which is good. But I think you could connect a little bit earlier, because it looks like you really don't start setting up connection until about there. All right, so what you got to think about is in this second wind, try to have, it doesn't have to be super aggressive, but you need to kind of emphasize reaching back to 180 a little bit more, a little bit longer back behind you, and starting to feel that left side kind of tension across the body sooner from 180. So left side tension across the body, but then also a little bit of right side pressure as well with that right leg, right hip, like I said, right side of the body. Like I said, just looks like a little bit, right to left, a little bit rotational, a little bit over rotational instead of kind of linear, so front to back. But you are getting those hands pretty straight, arms pretty straight as you go through zero. Just a little bit late connection. Looks like you don't quite have a lot of right side pressure with that right hip turning with the ball, because as you can see, as the ball goes through zero, you're patient, you do a great job, and then you start to see those hips shift back. You see that left side shift back, just a little tiny bit as the ball goes through 0. So that left side's got to be a little bit more stable as the ball goes through entry. And that comes from pushing with the right leg, connecting that right hip. And like I said, just really setting up connection earlier off of 180 in that second wind. With a heel turn, this is pretty typical. You're pushing through that left leg, the hips are going to shift back, and that left leg's going to kind of straighten out. And you can start to see this right leg getting left behind a little bit. It's not bad. You're turning with it pretty well, but that right leg isn't quite really the driver. That right hip isn't quite the driver of the throw like it needs to be. It's mostly that left side pulling back, shifting back. And then you're turning with it. You maybe stay on that heel a little bit longer, dorsiflex that left toe a little bit more. Maybe get this left knee out over this left heel just a little bit more, which is a really hard thing to do. But like I said, it all really comes back to setting up connection earlier off of that that second wind. So, and then as you come through the end of double support, like I said, you can just see that right leg just a little bit behind the throw. Just a little bit behind. But level shoulders, posture's okay, and then you go to catch. And then there's just not a ton of separation, or like I said, right side pressure. You catch and you're pretty even with the ball, at least in terms of the hips and the shoulders. Which, like I said, I think just kind of comes from a lack of right side pressure and entry. And then you catch and there's not much tension in the body. There's not much stability, I suppose. So then we'll see what happens after that. You're turning with the ball pretty well, and you can start to see this left shoulder get up, tighten up, as you go through this second double support. I should say the first turn. That left heel grounds. And you start to see this left side pull up. Because if you don't have enough tension or stability in that first catch, your left shoulder is going to tighten up to create tension so the body can feel stability. So you need to be able to get a little bit more separation, connect this right hip a little bit more, and once you catch that first turn, you'll feel much more stability, and then your left side won't have to pull as much to create that tension. Then as you go through double support, you get a little tilt, left shoulder up, you're a little back on the right, which is normal, I suppose. It's just a matter of, you can see you're a little heavy on that right leg, so the right leg isn't turning as well as it needs to, and you can see there's almost a little bit of, there's a little bit of drift in that left heel. If you watch your foot here, you see that left foot drifting a little bit, which means there is tension in that left side that is too great. So you're kind of playing tug of war with the hammer, and you're pulling back on it more than it's pulling on you. So you're winning the tug of war, and that's no good. You want to tie the tug of war to find a proper connection. So got to chill out that left side a little bit. And you can start to see that left foot point towards 180 while pretty much the rest of your body and the rest of the throw is still pointed back at 270. So that's a sign that the left side's overactive. As you go through the end of double support and into single support, it's not bad. I kind of like it. I do kind of talk about the level of the shoulders relative to the hips, and you can see there's a little slight downturn in the hips here and the level shoulders. So there's a little bit of a mismatch here if you were to draw an angle or a line through the shoulders and through the hips. There's a little bit of an angle to it, which means I think it mostly comes from that left shoulder being up, I think, which is kind of what is killing your tension, your stability in the catch. Then when you go to this next catch, a little bit better, a little bit more stability. Looks like you almost land flat-footed, but your hips are underneath you. It's a little bit better, but still got to see a little bit more stability, and maybe even feel the ball grow forwards a little bit more. Feel the ball kind of pull you towards the sector and step to it with that right hip. So right hip to the high point. That right hip should always kind of be chasing the ball towards the end of double support and then single support until you get to this catch, and then that's when you should have that separation between kind of the upper body and the lower body. As you go through double support again, see your catch, ball drops a little bit. You don't really get pulled forward too much, but the ball drops. And then you start to see that left shoulder. Let's see. Yeah, still kind of pulling. It doesn't look like it's as quite pulling up and back as much as it was in the previous turn, but still, you can see that left heel does not ground until about there. So it's a little bit late, grounding a little bit late. which means you're going to kind of find some disconnection there. You're going to feel some disconnection. Like I said, you're still kind of back heavy on the right a little bit, and that left side's really kind of pulling back. So when you catch, up until about that left heel grounds, it should ground before the ball gets to 0, I think, on average. If it grounds a little bit late, you're going to end up pulling that left side back because, like I said, that left side doesn't have stability. So then as you go through this end of double support, you can see that left side really opening early again, opening up, left toe pointed towards 180, everything kind of back towards 270, and you start to see this same sort of left shoulder rising up, pulling up and back. But your arms are still nice, long, and connected, so that's a win there. You just got to figure out the lower body connection and the hips and all that stuff. And then as you go through single support one last time, like I said, you can still kind of see the same thing. Your right leg, your right hip isn't really quite driving the throw. It's not the engine of the throw. It's mostly the left side that's the engine. And then you catch. I guess all your catches have been before 270, which is good. It's just a matter of keeping this kind of lower body position, but then catching a little bit deeper as the throw goes on, where I think this is the latest catch of the throw. So you got to let that ball grow towards the sector and find some amplitude. Then you catch, once again, kind of flat-footed, sort of. Maybe it appears to be flat-footed. Yeah, you can see you catch flat-footed, and then your right leg doesn't really turn at all. It's all this left side that's doing all the work in this final catch into the finish, which means, like I said, your right side's not quite connected like it needs to be. And then you can see the ball drops a little bit here as well, just like in the previous turn. That's why that left side's really pulling up and back. And as you go through the finish, you're not really getting much extension or rotation through that right side, right leg, right hip. And like I said, it's all left side, left shoulder pulling up and back. So, smooth looking throw, but I think there's some big improvements you can make in terms of setting up connection earlier. So, like I said, you want to feel some good connection through the left arm as the ball goes back behind you here. But then that needs to transfer into right side tension and connection. So in the entry, you need to feel a really long sweep out to the right, to your right side, camera view left side. And yeah, just feel a little bit more right side pressure, especially with that hip and leg, get that stuff turning. And then that should maybe help set up some better stability in the entry. You connect that right side a little bit better. And then all of a sudden you have better left side stability. The ball goes longer to the left. You feel the ball go longer to the left, you have more time to find separation, single support, and then everything gets a lot better. Where, like I said, this throw's just kind of, like I said, left side heavy. So if you can feel that right side connect better and keep a better stability in that left side, it'll be much better, and you'll be cracking 50 meters in no time. So, yeah, thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, maybe drop a comment, whatever. Go to my website and sign up for your own technical analysis. Sign up for some online coaching, some online programming, and let your boy help you out. I just want to help you guys reach your goals, give back to the sport a little bit. So, yeah, Matthew, if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Until next time, Sean Don, signing off.